Blessings and welcome to the path to freedom. This amazing path where we get to find sanity in this insane world, where we get to claim ownership, where we get to claim mastery over our minds so that we don't be hijacked by the incessant thoughts and the fears and the worries and the doubts that are running amok in the world, and sometimes within our minds as well. My name is Daniel Roqueo, and I am very grateful that you're choosing to join me, that you're choosing to tune in to this beautiful space, this beautiful moment, this healing moment, this free moment of expanding our consciousness, of raising our vibration. So the theme for today, or the topic for today, is just that: finding sanity in this insane world. And this has to do with everything that is going on in the world. If we turn on the news, if we open just one newspaper, we are blasted with things to be afraid of, how we need to protect ourselves, all the bad things that are happening in the world, all the suffering, all the pain, all the oppression, all the violence, and all of that. And as long as we are buying into that this is the world that we're living in, we're going to be stuck at that level of fear, of worry, of doubt, of thinking that life is against us, of thinking, believing that we need to protect ourselves, of thinking, believing that this is a very unsafe place. Well, the only way to find safety, the only way to find security, the only way to find sanity is in our minds. As we take back our minds, as we find a way to begin to witness and observe the thoughts that are flowing through our minds, so that we may begin to release our attachments to them, so that we may begin to break free from being hijacked by these lower vibrations. And the way to do it, well, this is what this this path of freedom is. There are many tools that we can use, but at the end of the day, there are two ways to go about it. There's us finding a way to habitually come back to the nowness of this moment, which is not past, which is not present, which is not future, but the nowness of this moment where everything just is. And we will be talking more about that in a little bit. And then find a way to not judge by appearances. Because it's so easy when we're looking at the news, when we're watching the news, or when we're reading a newspaper, to believe that everything that is going on in the world is bad. And yes, I'm not denying that there are happenings in the world that give rise to suffering, that give rise to pain, that people are in conditions that are not favorable. I'm not denying that. But if we believe that that is the only thing that is going on, if we believe everything that we see, everything that we hear, then we're in trouble. There's a statement that goes that if we are watching the news more than we're meditating or praying, then we're in trouble. Because even though we're being blasted by the negativity in the world, every single day, people are engaging in loving actions. People are being loving and kind and generous. People are healing from diseases and illnesses and conditions that may seem impossible to the finite mind. There are being remissions being done all of the time, happening all of the time. But these are not necessarily talked about on the news. So we need to find an aspect of finding sanity is to find our own source of what is happening in the world. Find our own inspiration that do not bring us down, that do not pull us into hopelessness and what's the word? I don't remember. It may come later. But it is our responsibility for us to hold hope alive, to keep hope alive. It is our responsibility to see the possibilities, the opportunities that are everywhere. Because we are living in a field of infinite possibilities. And it is our responsibility to keep our vibration high, to keep our hearts open, to be living embodiments of unconditional love, of infinite peace, of kindness, of generosity. Because we are not living in a hostile environment. When we raise our vibration, inoculation happens. When we turn our attention more toward the gifts and the blessings, towards the love, towards the peace, towards the harmony, the wholeness, the abundance that is everywhere, in every single moment, in every single space and place, that is how we find sanity. That is how we find sanity. And in aspects, so we get to trust that life is good. That, as I love to say, that all is well. That something wonderful is always happening, that everything is working for the highest good, for our highest good. Now it is up to us to stay in that vibration. It is up to us to stay in that consciousness. And we're not going to stay there if we're watching the news too much. We're not going to stay there if we're hanging out on various social media too much. But we need to find our own way. Just because everybody else is watching the news, just because everybody else is reading the newspaper, just because everybody else, I'm not saying that everybody is doing it, but most of humanity is doing it. Those that have access to news and newspaper at least. Just because everybody else is doing something does not mean that we need to do it. But finding sanity is finding our own way of finding sanity. What brings us joy? What brings us into that beautiful space of love, of being open-hearted and open-minded? It's not always easy to break free from the herd, to break free from collective consciousness, but we need to do it if we want to find sanity. And there is no virtue of being, how to say this? There is no virtue, it doesn't serve us to feel sane in an insane world. Meaning that we just go lockstep with what everybody else is doing. Conforming to the masses. That's not sanity. Sanity is finding a way to be in ever expanding joy. Sanity is finding a way to be in ever expanding peace, in ever expanding love, in ever expanding harmony. Sanity is finding a way to continuously raise our vibration, to continuously expand our consciousness, to continuously allow for the next great and grand version of who we are to emerge, not ever at the expense of someone else. So we're not robbing anyone else, we're not taking anything from anyone else, but we are any more than a seed planted in the ground takes anything from the dirt. A seed planted in the ground takes nothing from the soil, but everything emerges from within the soil. So when we move into creativity, when we move into that beautiful space of growing and unfolding and expanding, We're not ever taking anything from, and I don't care how prosperous we get. I don't care how much money perhaps we allow to flow into our lives. I don't care how healthy we get. We're never doing it. When we move out of the sense of not being enough and not having enough, the sense of comparison, the sense of competition that so much of humanity is involved in, when we move out of that, when we raise ourselves up, we lift everybody up. When we expand in joy, that joy becomes contagious. When we allow for more generosity and kindness and love to well up from within us, we inspire others to do the same. So sanity has nothing to do with being selfish. It has, well, in a sense it does, because we are doing it for ourselves. Ultimately, we're doing it for all of creation, but we're doing it to ourselves. But it has nothing to do with becoming indifferent or withdrawing or withholding love or kindness. But sanity simply means that we find our own unique way to remain sane, to remain in joy, to remain in love, to remain in kindness, to remain with an open heart, even in the midst of all of this that is happening on the planet. And that is how we become the midwives. That is how we move ourselves into being the solution to the issues that humanity is facing. When we raise ourselves up, everybody and everything is raised up. Like that saying that goes, high tide lifts all boats. And I'm sometimes prone to say that when we put a tea bag in a cup of hot water, that tea bag infuses the whole cup. It doesn't just limit itself to a corner of the cup or a portion of the cup, but that tea infuses the whole cup. And that is what we're talking about here. So finding sanity has nothing to do with what anyone else is doing. It has to do with what we need to do for ourselves to not be hijacked by the mind, by the fear, the worry, the doubt, the sense of separation that is running wild in the human collective consciousness. So trusting that life is good, trusting that all is well, that something wonderful is happening, ultimately trusting that God is good and that God is all there is. That's one way, that's one portal, one doorway into sanity. Another doorway, as I began by saying, obviously, is finding a way to habitually observe and witness our minds. So to become aware of the content that is flowing through our minds. What are the thoughts? What are our beliefs? What are our point of views? What are our judgments? And do they serve us? If I believe that every time I walk out the door, my life is going to be in danger, does that serve me? Or if I believe that any time I'm near anyone that sneezes, I'm gonna get the cold. Or do I believe that just because it's a particular season, this is now the flu season, or this is now the COVID season, or this is now the whatever kind of season? What are we believing about ourselves? What are we believing about the world, about life, about spirit? And does it serve us? So coming back to the nowness of this moment, observing, witnessing, breaking free from the incessant mind chatter, the monkey mind chattering, the incessant ongoings of habitual and repetitive thoughts and thought patterns, finding a way to step out of that. It's fundamental. It's essential. It's crucial. It's vital if we want to remain sane. As long as we're hijacked by our minds, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to begin to claim ownership over our minds. We need to begin to claim ownership over where we're turning our attention. What am I looking for in the world? What are we looking for in the world? Are we looking for the possibilities? Are we looking for the love? Are we looking for the abundance? Are we looking for evidence of God's kindness and goodness? Or are we looking for something else? What choices are we making? And are they serving us? Are they in alignment with what we wish to experience? Are we looking for what we wish to experience, or are we looking for that which we don't want to experience? Where are we turning our attention? So we get to become aware of all of these structures, the habitual structures. And when we become aware, it is not for us to beat ourselves up or to judge ourselves or to, blame ourselves or shame ourselves. But becoming aware is a beautiful moment. It is in the becoming aware that the healing begins, because we can only heal. And when I'm speaking about healing, I'm not saying that we need to fix anything. I'm not saying that we are broken in any way, shape, or form. I'm merely saying that healing to me is revealing, releasing and letting go, dissolving that which obstructs, that which obscures the love, the peace, the joy, the harmony, the wholeness that is inherently within us. That is the truth and the essence of who and what we are. But for healing to happen, we first need to become aware of these small and limited thought patterns, the judgments, the opinions, the perceptions. So finding sanity, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, inner work. But it is so well worth it. It is so well worth it. So that's our invitation for today. We're all being invited to take a look at our lives and ask ourselves, am I moving towards sanity? And another word for sanity is enlightenment or awakening. These are the same. So when we wake up from the sleepwalking, from the slumber, from unconsciousness, from ignorance, that's when sanity begins to emerge. So are we in alignment with sanity? Are we moving towards sanity, or are we moving towards insanity? That's the invitation. These are the questions that we're invited to ask in this moment. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating, for joining me as always. Until we meet again, I bless your day, and I bless your way. Knowing, feeling that all is well, something wonderful is happening, that everything is working for the highest good, for your highest good. Much love, many blessings. Namaste.